Today I'm going to show you how to make this sweet little Pooh Bear Tsum Tsum. He's dressed up for Halloween in his bee costume and he has his pot of honey with him. Let's get started. Now I'll be starting this Pooh Halloween Tsum Tsum the way I start all my Tsum Tsums, with a piece of polymer clay rolled out into an oval. And I just press the bottom flat like this, and then I shape the front and the back of it. The next thing I need is 3 strips of polymer clay, 2 black and 1 yellow, and this will be for his costume. And what I'll do is I'll place 1 black and then the yellow right on top like this, and then I'll put another black on top of that so that it creates this striped effect like this. And then what I'll do so they all stick together is I'll actually roll them. So now that I rolled the 3 pieces of my clay together like this, I'll turn it over so that I get the front of it, and I have 3 stripes, black, yellow, black. What I'll do is I'll drape it over the back of Pooh. I'll just pick which one will be the front, which one will be the back. So I'll drape it over this part, starting with the black. And I'll just put it about 2/3 of the way across his body. Just put it on, and then I'll press it down around the edges and around the back too, pressing it all the way down and all the way around. Just work it with your fingers and work it all the way down and around. So now that I have it pressed all the way around, I'll take my little knife and I'll cut around the edges of it, and I'll just cut off all the excess. So I'll cut around the edges and go all the way around his body. So now that I've finished cutting all the way around, what I do is I pull off the excess, and then I'll smooth it all around his body. Just stretch it a little bit and pull it all the way around him. Like this. So you have something that looks like this. So now for the headbands that the antennas are going to attach to, I have this piece of black polymer clay, and I rolled it into a log, and then I pinched the sides together like this. What I'll do is I'll put it right on top of his head, and this will go right between both of his ears. And I'll just press it on flat like this, right on the top of his head. The next thing I'll do, since I'm not going to attach the antennas until he's finished baking, will be to make 2 little holes with my toothpick, and that will be where the antennas will slide into. And push about this much of your toothpick down, just to leave a big enough hole so that you can slide the antennas in there and add some glue when he's finished baking. And I'll just show you how I made the antennas. This is what the antenna looks like, and the way I made this was I took a little piece of jewelry wire like this, I painted it black, and then I bought these little pom-poms at the craft store. I added a little dot of glue to the top of my stick, and I actually used crazy glue, and then I just slid it into the pom-pom. And then what I did was I let it dry. And just be really careful with them just so the pom-pom doesn't slide off once it's dry, but this is what it looks like when it's finished. So now that I've finished attaching the top part, I'll attach his little legs, and I have 4 little pieces of yellow shaped into logs, just like on all my other Tsum Tsums, and you just place all 4 legs on the bottom of him. They're very, very tiny, like this, and then do the 2 on the other side. So now I've attached all 4 of his legs. I'll be working on his ears next. For that, I rolled a little piece of yellow polymer clay into a circle, and then I just pressed it flat with my finger. And now I'll attach his ear, 1 on each side. For that, I'll be using the same toothpick I used before, because I want the ear to fold backwards. And what I'll do is I'll put it on the side of the antenna, like this. I'll take my toothpick, press downwards so that it sticks to the bottom of the clay, and then once I'm sure that it's stuck, I'll just fold his little ear back so that it looks like this. Now for Pooh's wings, I have 2 pieces of silver polymer clay, and I flatten them so that they're round, and I take one side of the clay, squeeze it between my forefinger and my thumb until it makes this shape. And then the other side of it is still rounded. I do the same thing with the other one, and then I'll place one on top of the other and attach it on his back. So once I put one wing on top of the other, I just went over them 1 time like this with a rolling pin, just very gently so that they would stick together in the middle. The last thing I'll do before I attach them to Pooh is I'll take a little knife, and what I'll do is I'll just score them. I'll just make little lines in them so that it looks like the veins that the bees actually have in their wings. I'm actually making it look kind of like a leaf, like this. And I'll do the same thing to the other side and then attach them. So now that I have his wings designed, the last thing I'll do is I'll take a piece of jewelry wire, slide it right down into the middle of his back where the wings will go. And I mean, you don't have to do this part, you can just press it down with something if you want. I just feel more secure knowing that they're going to stay on. And then I'll press down, take my toothpick on top just to make sure the wire also goes down, and press it in the middle. And then you can even curve your wings up a little bit if you like, or you can leave them flat. This is what Pooh looks like so far. The next thing I want to show you is an optional thing. I wanted to make a little honey pot for Pooh, since Pooh loves honey so much. So I have a little brown piece of polymer clay. I have it shaped into a bowl. I'll press it flat onto my mat, and then I'll begin shaping the edge of it to look like a honey pot. So now that the honey pot is the shape that I want it, the next thing I'll do will be to take a piece of yellow polymer clay, a round piece, I'll just pinch off a piece, this is too big, and I'll roll this into a bowl and then flatten it with my finger. And of course this will be the honey inside the pot, because Pooh does not want an empty pot of honey. And I'll just press that on top so that looks like the honey in the pot. Now the last thing I do before I bake this pot of honey is I have this brown piece of polymer clay shaped out, and this will just be the top of the honey pot. So the first thing I'll do is to go all the way around and measure it and see how much of this I need, and then I'll cut off the excess. All I'll do is I'll slice it right there, shape the edge again, and now I can attach it. And I'll just go all the way around the honey pot so that it actually looks like a pot of honey. Like this, go all the way around the edge. Now Pooh and his honey pot are ready to be baked, and when they're finished baking, I will attach Pooh's antennas, and then I'll show you how to draw in his face. So now that Pooh and the honey pot are finished baking, I want to show you what I did with the honey pot. I used some 3D yellow paint, and this is supposed to look like the honey, and I looked online and I noticed that most of his honey pots are overflowing with honey, just the way Pooh likes it. So I did that with the 3D paint, and then I also wrote honey on it, the way Pooh Bear spells it. So I'm finished with the honey pot. Now I just have to finish with Pooh. So the first thing I want to do is draw on his face like this, and for that I have some brown paint. So the first thing I'll do is I'll draw his little nose. And I actually drew with pencil first, it just makes it easier for me to color in. And I have a toothpick here that I just dip into the brown paint. And then I just color in where I had already drawn. I'll outline it first with the brown paint, and then I'll just color it in. So now that I finished coloring in his nose, I'm just going to color in that little crease above his nose. And I dip my toothpick in paint again, and I'll just go right on top of the little line that I had already drawn in. So now that I finished with the crease above his nose, I'm going to color in the eyes, and I did this one here on the left, and I'll just dip my toothpick in the top cover of the paint, and then what I'll do is I'll just go right beside the crease and then just color it in. Just put a little dot at first, and then just keep going round in a circle with your toothpick until your eye is finished. Now Pooh's face is finished. I finished with his eyebrows. I did one in front of each ear. The next thing I'm going to do, and this is the final step, is to add a drop of glue into each of the little holes where the antenna is going to go. So I'm going to squeeze a drop of glue in there and a drop of glue in there. Just 1 or 2 drops for each hole should be fine. And I have the antennas that I made previously. And I'll just take this one, and it should fit perfectly into that hole. And I'll just gently slide it into there. I'll do the same thing with the next one. And I put the curved part forward so they curve forwards a little bit. Just like that. And now I'll let them dry. And now the Pooh Bear is finished. And now the Pooh Tsum Tsum and his honey pot are ready for Halloween. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be making another fun video very soon, and I also have a surprise video coming up, so be sure to subscribe to my channel and like and comment. Thanks for watching.